everyone, and welcome to What the Trans.
What the
Trans?
Oh, it's nice
How
and
are you all doing
synchronised that
today?
was.
Good, yeah, fine. But before we get into asking each other questions, I am Ashleigh, and with me are...
Yes, hello,
Yes.
I'm Flint.
And I'm Alex. Hello. Hello, I'm Alex.
Now we're all here and signed in. How are you both doing?
I'm doing all right. I've been busy. It's been an interesting time. There's been I'm trying to think. We've literally just been having a whole catch-up conversation just before settling into recording, and I've suddenly forgotten every single thing that I was like, I'll get into this on the pod. What have I been doing? I've been playing Balatro. That's the thing I've been doing recently.
Nice.
It's
Okay.
very fun. Very fun. Oh my god, it really, really has gotten me. I didn't think I'd be getting into a poker game, like poker-based game, but
Yeah.
I am. I've got the bug. Yeah, it's the one with all the jokers and whatnot. It's very, very cool.
I'll just go to politics for jokers.
How about you, Alex? What's going down?
I've recently been plagiarising my mum's recipe book when doing some baking recently.
Ooh, new hobby.
Yeah, little new hobby. I've sort of grabbed my mum's recipe book. I took photos of every single recipe on that thing, regardless of how legible the bloomin' thing is. And I've been making my old grand's cookie recipe. Brought some of those to the office. Those went down really well. And then a couple of days ago, I made some brownies, which then I ate them and then had food poisoning when I tested it out.
Were they too fudgy? Did you underbake them?
I think it was the eggs. Like, it was the eggs. Because there was still some leftover from cookies from like early that week, and then that had been some cookies on clearance because they'd been on for too long. So because I was going to bring them to work as well, thinking. So I was sort of like, I called in my boss and said, "Hey, I'm gonna have to take a sick day. The brownies poisoned me. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to bring any brownies in today. I think you'll understand."
Yeah.
Well, hopefully. Sorry, I don't want to poison everybody else in the office. Pretty solid reason for not taking something in.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do it to just management and just say, here's a gift specifically for management.
Yeah.
No. With them, you give them brownies that have been, the special kind of brownie. Because upper management tripping balls in meetings would be pretty funny.
Oh god, but imagine the weird ideas they'd get to make your life even worse.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
What is this shit? Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time we had a complete cooking fail. It's been a while. I'm sure there was one. But we've gotten into the habit of making so there's a dozen or so recipes that the three of us we'll all kind of collaborate on, or we're good at making individually. Like Lexi does a really mean chili, for example. But I kind of want to get back into, hey, let's get creative. Let's step outside of our comfort zone and try doing something a bit different. But whatever. It's food. It's delicious. It's science for hungry people. So.
Yeah, it just caught me what you were saying. Like, it took me a second to process. I like that.
That's from something, and I can't remember what it is. So apologies if I've just slightly plagiarized something there. But yes. All right, cool.
Yeah, let's hope no one who was listening was feeling hungry or about to have dinner before listening to this. Because otherwise we're teasing them.
Hearing about our catastrophic kitchen mishaps. Okay, so there's something that we kind of wanted to talk about, and we talked about a little bit last time, me and Alex did, but it was right at the end of the show, and it's because we'd completely forgotten to talk about it at the beginning of the show, which we had meant to. So now I've made sure at the very start of our script, I put it in big letters, and I even capitalized them so it appears that I'm shouting. And the phrase that I've written in big, bold, capital letters is party politicals. Because, as was mentioned last time, I joined the Green Party, and I joined to vote for Zach Polanski because I love me some social democracy and a wealth tax, right? That is absolutely the solution for quite a lot of things. But, well, I shall open the floor to discussion. Where shall we take this?
I suppose mine's the easiest to get through, I suppose. I suppose my political journey was joined Lib Dems, left Lib Dems, joined Greens to vote in Zach. Once Zach was in, I was like, right, job done, left the Green Party. Here I am, happy sitting without a political party.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, to be honest.
Fair.
So I didn't. As funny as it is, I'm not a member of the Green Party, despite being doused in the hue daily.
Indeed.
I think it was right up your alley as well in general.
Listen, I'm repping the brand, even if I'm not a paid up member. So it's an interesting one recording this on this particular day because when you two were going through your thing of like, oh, we're interviewing people with the Green Party and like maybe we actually sign up and like vote in the leadership, especially since we're encouraging others to. I was like, that's great, that's cool, that's groovy. During that time, there was the announcement of Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn's party, your party. I'm not a paid up member of that, but I did sign up to the mailing list when it was first put out. Maybe that means I am a member. Listen, my brain's not been working the best recently, but anyway. So I mainly signed up, but it was much more of a this could either be really good or it could go really badly. And either way, it feels like a bit of a Queen's Gambit. But fuck it. Let's have a punt. So I decided to sign up to the mailing list to see kind of how is this going to shake out. When you say we get to pick the name, when you say we get to pick the policies, what's that actually going to look like? And well, we are recording this on the day of the joint, I say joint, the very much not joint, the separate and yet on the same day announcements or statements from Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn regarding the issues surrounding sign-ups for like membership.
I think
money.
Ashleigh put it as the jousting statements.
Yeah,
or something.
dueling public statements. Okay, so this has been like a pretty fast-moving situation, so we're going to do a little quick catch-up, alright? Because there's been a lot, and it's been happening very quickly. So, firstly, Zara Sultana puts up a link to your party for memberships. It's got various different prices for different memberships and whatnot, and basically encouraging people to go sign up. Okay, cool, dandy. This happened, by the way, on, I think, September the 18th. Within hours, there is a response statement that's put out by Jeremy Corbyn and the rest of the independent MPs that are part of the Independent Alliance. Correct me if I'm misremembering that. Essentially saying, do not click on that link, do not follow it, do not put any money, cancel any direct debits you've put through. We all agree to do this in a very specific way and manner, and Zara Sultana has not really followed that. Simply says, actually, everyone signed up to this thing, and Zara was one of the signatories, so we're going to figure this out. And that statement is signed by everyone bar Zara Sultana. Zara then comes out with a statement within hours saying that she wants to clarify the situation, and essentially that everything has been happening with the dual authorization from both herself and Jeremy. She's trying to safeguard the grassroots movement, and calls out a sexist boys club within the party already, alongside a need to be transparent about funds, and that, I don't know, something about the way that they were going to be setting up the funds would mean that, one person in particular would have control over all of the money, and that's kind of completely against what the political party was meant to be about. She says it's members' money and our members must decide how it's spent. Then she also says that this is everything that's been agreed. It's been following the plan, the structure that they have. And then she says, essentially, that she wants Jeremy to meet with her and to make public all of the stuff that they had agreed previously, all of the paperwork and whatnot, to basically show, hey, this is what we've been planning to do, and here is me doing what we've been planning to do. And yeah, that's a lot. Oh, and also in the first statement by Jeremy and crew, they mention legal advice is being sought. So there's that. Then, following that, we have another statement that comes out in response to that statement from, again, Jeremy and crew, which essentially boils down to, following the situation with Zara, they have reported the matter to the Information Commissioner's office, and then basically calls it a false membership system. So they go even harder on everything. They basically say, no, she signed it to a process, and then she's kind of she's not been excluded from anything. She signed it to a process. She's now not following that process. They talk a little bit and they defend Carrie Murphy, who is the person that would have had control of all of the members' money, following what Zara Sultana is saying. And kind of basically double down, which then leads to Zara releasing another statement, basically saying that over the last 24 hours, she says there's loads of false and defamatory statements, and, you know, reaffirms that the portal was done with the party's roadmap, like in accordance with that. At no point was members' data misused, and says that she is getting specialist defamation lawyers. So that's a lot happening all at once, very quickly. And this, our commentary on this was when it was just the two statements that were not, oh, hey, serious legal action is being taken. So bear that in mind, because things got intense quickly after recording. Okay, peace. There's already a little bit of a squabble, to put it gently. Yeah, I kind of hate to say that I'm not as surprised as I'd want to be. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's so much to unpack in this. I don't know what your thoughts are on Jeremy Corbyn.
I mean, years ago, I joined the Labour Party to vote for Jeremy Corbyn because, again, wealth tax, social democracy, like that feels like the least we should be able to expect from any party political system. Is a party political system the best way to govern a country?
Yeah.
The jury is out on that as well, given that what a bunch of queer anarchists we basically are.
Right, like, I don't think we need to say that we don't think the party political system is exactly the winner.
Yeah, this ain't the best, Chief, yeah. So, and I think I had joined the Green Party like a day or two before your party had announced their thing, and I thought to myself at the time, I suspect if I hadn't signed on to vote for Zach, I would probably have joined your party. But looking at this and the events of today, and presumably of the next few days, which I haven't seen yet, obviously, I'm glad that didn't happen. Because it's like, you know, you want a left-wing party that's a genuine alternative, because the Labour Party, when it gets to election time, the Labour Party will be putting themselves out there and saying, we are the only party who can stop reform. And that, I mean, so I don't think that's true for a number of reasons, but there's always this constant thing, a meme, a joke, whatever, within left-wing spaces of just constantly splitting down into like smaller and smaller parties. And so that splits the left vote out, which is why we've got Labour and the Liberal Democrats and the Greens and potentially your party and, you know, lots, you know, whereas on the right, it is, or rather was until quite recently, just the Conservatives. Now it's the Conservatives and Reform, and that's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I'm just... in a sense, I'm amused by it, but in another sense, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Right? Doesn't it feel like it's kind of we're we are the average voter in an episode of The Thick of It. Like that's kind of
No,
the vibe
exactly.
of the things right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think whenever it came to your party, I think when I saw it was announced, I wasn't feeling like this party was gonna be it, in my opinion. Even when it started, I was just like, it feels like it's a bit more of the splitting of the left, and I saw the. I mean, I'm as you said, I don't really do political parties, really. But then when we started to see it, like the Green Party was already established, it had framework established for dealing with transphobes, and they were going to be developing it with Zach Polanski. Well, not with Zach Polanski, but like with the foundations of all that. And then you had the whole situation with Adnan Hussein, and that whole system ringing alarm bells like a bloody, I don't know, a church. No, not. Whatever's a good for a metaphor for that particular circumstance. It always felt like they weren't established. Everything was already there in someplace else. It just seemed like a silly.
Yeah. You kind of didn't need to do it.
I mean, yeah, like I feel as though, like, I mean, for me, the reason I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a go is because at this rate, I was like, well, the Greens are the Greens. What do you have to offer? You know? And I say that to say that, like, the Greens are a good option that I've voted for mainly because that seems like the better option out of what I've had offered. But at the same time, like, mainly actually it was Zara Sultana that made me be like, I'll see what you're going to do with this. But it's going to depend entirely for me on how you handle A, transphobia and bigotry, and how well, how to put this, how well they can actually not fall into the traps that we often have in left spaces, like to go back to the point that you were making, Ashleigh, like to not fall into that kind of trap. And immediately we had an issue with transphobia, immediately we had an issue with the statements that Adnan was saying. Again, Zara Sultana continually has kind of had a response that's like, okay, I agree with what you're saying, but also then like, I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit too quick to be like, your actions aren't meeting your words, you got to fix that quick. Because you can put out a statement that's really good, but if the other members of your party in the top level or whatnot are not on that level, and it seems like they are. I'm not saying that all of those people are transphobes, but I'm saying that there is clearly, obviously, a very literal divide in the people that are in like the committee, the independent group. I cannot remember the name of it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, okay. Well, so that's politics sorted.
Almost.
Yeah.
We've still got more to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Safe to say, I'm not going to be bothering with, I'm not bothering with any of their membership or anything like that, because they clearly don't have their shit together. Simple.
Yeah, pretty much. And, yeah.
Speaking of people who have their shit together, the trans community in protest and actions.
Yeah, fantastic. Action time, Action Alley. Yeah, okay. So got some trans pride coming up.
So you'll probably see on our website, I make sure to link every trans pride I can find and put them on there. We've also got a bunch of actions. So to start with, in Winchester on the 27th of September, there'll be a trans pride there. In Exeter, there's going to be Trans Pride Exeter on the 4th of October. I've met the people at Exeter Trans Pride. They seem to be really all cool people. Southampton Pride's on the 25th of October, so you can check that out as well.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Love it. Love to see it. Like Trans Pride Brighton kind of led the way, didn't it? Like, I think a lot of places started having Trans Prides once they saw Brighton do it and think, well, fuck it, I'm not going all the way to Brighton. Let's do one here. So,
yeah. And it's just been growing, especially this year. They've surged. They've had like 5 or 6, like 7 or 8 new Trans Prides this year alone.
Just this year.
Following the ruling. And also, speaking of the ruling, actually, there's also some letter writing campaigns we've put on our website from other people, like Transactual, Trans Solidarity Alliance, one where you can send a letter to local businesses in your area or general businesses to say, hey, oppose VHRC's guidance and something for you to do to help fight the good fight.
Yeah. I mean, as to that, I think it's a good idea, particularly if you've got like a gay pub or a gay quarter in the city where you live, like the gay village in Manchester. Like, find out from those, the people that own the businesses in that area, are you going to be telling the EHRC to get stuffed? Because that kind of seems like a base level of support for a place that's a gay venue,
By God, we've done so many letters and stuff that it's really pushing. Everyone's like, oh yeah, we've seen these letters, and yeah.
If it was in the old days, I would have either strained my right hand or broken a typewriter. All right. So, we got some interesting news coming up. This episode is going to be a little bit more svelte, a little bit streamlined, because there is no meat. Now, there is another longer project coming up that we're going to be working on throughout all of the month of October. More details on that in a little while, but it's a project that we're working on with some other organisations, let's say. Right.
My GCSE in statistics has really been put to the test.
Yeah, it's actually come in useful, hasn't it? Right. So, let's get on to pond hopping.
Pond hopping, we're hopping across the pond. How bad could it be?
So you'll have heard about this story. It has been all over the news, even here in the UK. We're not going to dwell too much on the details of the actual event itself, so much as the coverage of it. This is, of course, about the murder of Charlie Kirk. Within minutes of the shooting, the right-wing bullshit machine was in full swing, flooding social media with misinformation, claiming the shooter was trans or a left-wing activist or both. Then it changed to the shooter having a trans roommate or even partner, something we're still not sure is true or not. Something the mainstream media was often really quiet about, though, was the stuff that Charlie Kirk would actually say. Like his obituary in the New York Times, which glossed over Kirk's long history of calling for violence against non-white and LGBTQ+ people in favour of platitudes, citing his genius and innate aptitude for social media and messaging. Within a few days of the shooting, various mainstream news sources were also repeating misinformation, like the Wall Street Journal's article claiming that ammunition engraved with transgender and anti-fascist ideology found inside the rifle authorities believe was used in the Kirk shooting, which was complete bollocks. The bullet casings were stamped with TRN, which maybe kinda sorta looks like a trans thing, but is actually just the stamp from the factory that made the bullet, which is Turan ammunition in Turkey. The man they eventually arrested seems to have been a far-right activist who hated Kirk for being insufficiently fascistic. But the bullshit machine didn't stop. It pivoted from whoever did this must be ruthlessly hunted down and destroyed along with all left-wing culture to, ooh, small bean, innocent, misguided white boy shooter must protect, without missing a beat. And there's the rub, right? We've had days and days of very loud misinformation about the shooter being on the left, or being trans, or having a trans girlfriend, to the extent it's now going to be very difficult to calmly and rationally explain, no, that's wrong, and here's why, and that was wrong, and here's why. And that's the whole point of this. A fire hose of misinformation coming all the time, so that by the time someone has corrected something, the news cycle has moved on and most people don't even see the correction. Charlie Kirk is gone. And you may not approve of someone getting shot dead for their political beliefs, but you know who would have? Charlie Kirk. That's exactly what he's spent years calling for. Reap the whirlwind, Charlie. Rest in piss.
And the fact that this is being used as like, they call it like a Reichstag fire, or
Yes.
like a way to clamp down on leftists, or even to start attacking trans people and saying, oh, we need to make our lives hell, and not to be alarmist. It's probably very, very alarmist, but it's horrid.
Yeah, I think that he died in the way that he would have considered acceptable so many celebrities die where I go, oh, it's a shame, feel nothing, move on. And
Yeah.
with Charlie Kirk, instead it was, oh, well, that's happened. This is going to go immediately in one direction, which is vilification of the left. That has happened. We are now seeing a real-time authoritarian crackdown on free speech in the country that is claiming most to protect it. I think recently Jimmy Fallon actually got taken off of air. And bearing in mind, he didn't get taken off air for doing blackface. So.
Yeah, there's a couple people going on the job, what's it called, a job queue?
Yeah, it's, and we can do all of the silly meme-ish celebrations, but that does not really reflect the actual reality of the situation, at least as I personally see it. Like don't get me wrong, I'm I'm not adverse to a like haha he he, but it's I'm not about to treat this as if it is just like, I'm not about to treat this like it isn't going to have real serious implications on my community and on
precisely.
And like I've been to protests where there was like one time at a protest, I think it was after the Supreme Court, there was a lad who started trying to have a conversation with people. There was one person in particular, and someone called me over and was like, "Hey, would you mind? Because like, saw you speaking, maybe have a conversation with this person." And he brought up Charlie Kirk. He brought up Charlie Kirk. Was like,
right.
do you know who Charlie Kirk is? And I knew who he was, but I honestly was like, I'm not going to play this game with you. So I went, no, because I'm not following people whose whole point is sarcastic terrorism. Well, I didn't say it in that way because this person was younger than me, but I said no because I'm aware that there's a lot of talking heads in far-right spaces, but not many of those people are actually educated in the way that makes them, like, worth listening to. They're not experts in their fields. They're talking heads. And, I don't know what Charlie Kirk's, what does Charlie Kirk have to say about me and my community that's going to be anywhere near as well researched as anything we have to say about ourselves? Nothing.
Yeah.
But he was a dangerous person, and it is so strange to be constantly hearing the left eating itself all the time, and yet what has happened here? The thing that I am really, really concerned about is that we now have a lot of attention being driven onto a very small, niche, very dangerous community that exists in the back alleys of the internet. And we've seen once before. I've seen once before in my lifetime a group with dangerously bigoted views get a lot of press and media attention, and that was during the whole 4chan Gamergate stuff, and that did not go the way that we would hope it to. That ended up actually legitimizing a lot of Nazism in online spaces, a lot of bigotry in online spaces, even if not Nazism. And it has had, that there's Gamergate was a weirdly poignant moment in terms of how things operate politically online, and I do have concerns that we are going to see another seedy little group that is a descendant of them, become even also get that PR, and if they manage to come out through it, it's just a worsening. It's a worsening. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And so basically the organization that Charlie Kirk started, Turning Point USA, there's a Turning Point UK as well. Yeah, so Turning Point UK are trying to push for the same, and you've already said this, Flint, but stochastic terrorism towards trans people, as we've seen from Kirk in the USA. That is literally trying to be imported. And that's why we could have very easily done this whole part as a bit, right? We could have put Charlie Kirk in Loser's Corner. but we can't just make we can't just make merry about it, because it is going to have and is already having real world actual impact towards already marginalized and vulnerable communities like trans people, right? It's not, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I have told the odd joke, but this is really serious, unfortunately. Like, people calling it a Reichstag fire moment, they might be correct.
Yeah, it's one of those, like this is the thing. It doesn't mean don't.
Yeah, this isn't me saying, oh, don't take the piss out of it, because actually...
right? Like, two things can be true at the same time. And one
exactly.
is that a thing has happened which, everyone, at least in our communities, is likely to breathe a bit of a sigh of relief and is going to want to crack wise about that. In the same way that, there are people that popped out bottles of shampoos when Margaret Thatcher died. And you best believe I've got one in my fridge for, like, whenever, an evil little fascist kicks it. But, like, that can be true at the same time as recognizing, okay, the effects of this thing. Like, my thoughts and feelings about this thing is this. The effects of this thing is that. So I can't just treat this the way that, the lighthearted way that you kind of, in some moments want to throughout. You're going to have to also reckon with, that this is likely to be used to justify a lot of fucked up things. And the more that we make light of it without also making the movements to protect ourselves, by all means. But I'm not telling people to grieve someone who they have no need to or want to. And I sure as shit haven't grieved a single moment of it.
Nope.
But I this is not about him. This is about protecting us and our kind, and how we navigate through, particularly trans people in America, how to navigate through the heightened scrutiny that's coming even further and further and further.
Hi folks, Ashleigh dropping in here from 2 days after we recorded this bit to mention that the Senate voted unanimously to make October 14th, Kirk's birthday, a national day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk. All Democrats present for the vote, including Sarah McBride, voted in favour of it. 22 Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi, whose husband was violently assaulted in another act of political violence, walked out rather than support it. But the bill still went through, so as an act of resistance, it was pretty useless. Stand still and object, don't just walk away. In the House of Representatives the following day, it also passed, although there was at least a bit more resistance there when 96 Democrats declined to support it. In other developments, Kirk's wife Erica was voted to become the new chief of Turning Point USA, which is pretty interesting since Turning Point advocate that women shouldn't have jobs. They should stay home in the kitchen being submissive cooks and baby factories. So we expect she'll become a figurehead while the real decision-making power moves one rung down. And now, back to the show.
Yeah. I suppose with everyone seeing Charlie Kirk on the news all the time, I think we might as well jump on to the next one.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. This is the longest segment of pond hopping we've ever done, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on to, well, it's not getting any better really. So on to our next story. Over the past few weeks, there's been a lot of explicitly anti-trans bills, either passed or attempted in several different states, but the federal government in Washington, D.C. have also gotten into the action. The fiscal year 2026 National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, was passed in the House on the September 10th, and as the name suggests, is a budget bill for the US war machine. It's got things in it like protecting funding for military aid to Ukraine, and to, quote, speed up defense procurement at home, which means making the Pentagon's acquisition process quicker, amongst other things. But the bill also contains several poison pill amendments added by Republicans, including a ban on medical necessary healthcare for transgender service members and dependents, including mental health care for trans young people, a ban on gender-neutral bathrooms at military facilities, and a ban on trans women participating in sports and athletic programs for women, all of which were added by Nancy Mace. There's a few others, including a ban on pride flags being flown at Department of Defense facilities. This bill, unfortunately, passed in the House more or less on party lines, 231 to 196.
So, yeah, that wasn't great.
Oh.
No. Pretty fucking awful, actually.
I suppose it was interesting that it went on party lines, so it was sort of like they didn't have many defections or any defections to pass the bill itself, which is encouraging about the Democrats, even though there's still some concerns I have about Democrats. We've seen the troubles of Gavin Newsom, which I've got my own concerns about with how he's been going, and but that's a whole other. We've already been speaking about pond hopping for too long for me to have a ramble about that.
Well, then let's just get moving on over to the state of Michigan, where there is draft legislation in the works. This is Bill 4938, aka the Anti-Corruption of Public Morals Act, which really does sound straight out of the Hays Code era, doesn't it? Jeez. Well, if enacted, it would ban the people of Michigan from doing 3 things. 1. Viewing or distributing any, quote, pornographic content online. 2. Viewing or distributing anything that deviates from the gender binary. And 3. Using any tool to circumvent the ban, like a VPN. Now, always laws like this, there's going to be a question of what's obscene, quote unquote, what's, morally corrupting, and how slippery the slope will be, and all of that. But here, it's remarkably clear how Michigan's lawmakers see us, and likely how they see the broader LGBT community. It's evident they see us as inherently obscene, as pornographic, and corrupting by our very presence. But let's focus on the actual text of the thing, right? Section 2, in parentheses, B, bans, quote, depiction, description, or simulation, whether real, animated, digitally generated, written, or auditory, that includes a disconnection between biology and gender by an individual of one biological sex, imitating, depicting, or representing himself or herself to be of the other biological sex by means of a combination of attire, cosmetology, or prosthetics, or as having a reproductive nature contrary to the individual's biological sex. So, that means Shakespeare's Twelfth Night is right out. Can't have a man voice a woman, or vice versa, so no Singing in the Rain. No Bart Simpson, either, voiced by Nancy Cartwright, because, it's very common for voice actors to be women who are voicing children. There's no depictions of trans people of any kind, or of people who don't sufficiently conform to gender norms, either. It feels emblematic of what so many similar bills are trying to be. Now, hopefully it won't actually become law, but it's maddening that such a thing was proposed in the first place. Interestingly enough in this, it would also ban ASMR, because whispering into a microphone is too sexy. And Josh Shriver, who proposed this bill, recently voted to keep child marriage legal in Michigan. Yeah. So you see what his fucking priorities are, and they are disgusting.
Yeah, right.
Aside from the whole banning trans people's existence, just let people wank in peace. Jesus Christ.
The thing that really gets to me about this is actually not about the porn. The porn is a smokescreen. The porn is the way.
No, exactly.
The porn element of this is how it's going to affect cis and straight people. That is the least of my concerns. My concerns are the way in which this dramatically reduces the ability for people to have accurate representation, dramatically reduces the ability to self-express, and to have artistic freedom. That to me is the much more dangerous thing, because when I read, you're not even allowed to be too dissimilar from your biological gender in the way that you present. That's that is shit that we were doing away with in the 1800s, folks.
How on earth do they expect that they'll enforce this? Is there going to be a new, moral turpitude section of the police? Is it, how is it that they actually plan to make sure that this law is adhered to, right? Because that's going to cost them. That's going to cost them a lot of money.
And it's going to mean, well, they're going to enforce it with a double standard. That's what they're going to do.
For sure.
But that's the snarky answer to the more philosophical question. But yeah, I don't know. What the trans? Too sexy for Michigan, I guess.
Let's talk about the Scottish government right? Who definitely are kind of sexy, or some of them are. I don't know. Depends what they're into. Maybe they'll appreciate me saying that. Anyway, so when you saw the Supreme Court case and the results of it, you would have hoped that the group For Women Scotland would just rest on their laurels and coast on that for the rest of their miserable lives. But unfortunately, they aren't. They are now launching a new stupid lawsuit and aimed specifically at guidance written by the Scottish Government for trans prisoners and also guidance on trans kids in schools. In the case of the prisons guidance, it's specifically targeting trans women in women's prisons and forcing them into the wrong prisons, as you would expect from them. And for the school's guidance, it is aimed directly at forcing trans students into the wrong toilets, preventing trans school children playing sports with their fellow schoolmates. Now, in response to this, however, the Scottish Government haven't taken it lying down, and we have fortunately heard in an article in the Herald that the Scottish Government are looking to challenge this against For Women Scotland. So, good. I hope they win, frankly. Because... For Women Scotland could just fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right on the side of let's hope they bloody lose it. But then we've seen continuously with their other case, with which then led to the that thing. They might just keep appealing until they get. You can see how exhausted I am thinking about this.
Yeah, it's litigion of attrition, essentially. It is a methodology
Lawfare.
of lawfare. That's it. Because it's this thing of just it feels brute forcing it. And it's maddening to quote Ashleigh's earlier writing.
Are they just going to keep appealing it obsessively to get it in front of the Supreme Court again? There was a recent debate in the Scottish Parliament where only 2 SNP members actually stood up in solidarity with trans folks to highlight with this court case. So the SNP need to fucking do better at showing up, frankly.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't to do with the case that the debate was about. It's like a separate thing, but I didn't get all the details, but yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it wasn't related to this specifically, but nevertheless, like, the SNP have got a whole ass LGBT group, right, out for independence, and they're kind of they're not reading the room, I feel.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Right. What's next?
Bridget Phillipson's inbox. Why is that relevant? We're about to tell you. So, her inbox has been getting ever fuller of late. Last episode, we covered the 10-volume dossier of consultation responses collected by Transactual, but people are still sending stuff her way, notably a couple of group letters. The first group letter to Phillipson is from 42 Lib Dem MPs, calling for the EHRC guidance to be subject to full parliamentary scrutiny, including a debate and a free vote. The biggest name among the signatories is Daisy Cooper, their deputy leader. The other big letter in Phillipson's inbox was an open letter from businesses arranged by Trans Solidarity Alliance working with Safe Space UK. Pubs, salons, churches, unions and all sorts of other businesses up and down the country have put their name to it, totalling 678 signatures. Among the big names to have signed are Lush Cosmetics, as well as Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and the two combined do sound like a very nice way to spend an afternoon, so as long as you don't drop your ice cream in the bath. The existence of letters like these show that trans voices are being heard, and by businesses and by MPs. So please take note of that and take hope in that and keep writing these letters, please. On the 4th of September, Lucy Powell, then leader of the House of Commons, said that she would be scheduling time to debate the EHRC guidance. Unfortunately, we don't have any detail on when this might happen or if it will include a vote. Or if, following the recent reshuffle, the new leader of the House of Commons will honour that commitment. But we do know at least one letter has already been sent to Bridget Phillipson, asking for details on the promised debate. Thanks to Carla Denyer for that one. Now, Labour's internal politics is a little bit of a mess right now, and we don't know why Powell lost her position as leader of the House. Presumably Morgan McSweeney or Starmer didn't like her vibe, and, small world, Lucy Powell and Bridget Phillipson are currently the two candidates in competition to be deputy leader of the Labour Party. So, interesting. Thoughts, feelings, comments, questions?
If Lucy Powell does get the job as deputy leader of the Labour Party, that means that she'll have even less time for the really important job of ignoring all of her constituency emails. Like, in a couple of the group chats that I'm in, like with the Green Party and stuff, lots of people who live in the centre of Manchester, who have emailed and written letters and everything, stonewalled every single one of them. She's not been in touch with a single one of her constituents that I've spoken to. So, Lucy Powell kind of sucks as an MP. Not kind of, actually. Lucy Powell definitely sucks as an MP, so I don't want her to get any government job.
Do you mean insert Labour MP here sucks at their job?
I mean, some of them. You never know. Anyway, but the open letters, as you say, it's good. They work, right? Keep sending them in. Write to your MP as long as your MP isn't Lucy Powell. Condolences if it is, but, hey, let's go for coffee.
You can also write to your other local parties as well, and maybe they'll put it up the ladder at their party and also help put pressure in whichever one it is, Lib Dem or Green or whatever. They'll provide support on their side anyway, so even if you think it's a waste of time, just speak to your local party. Speaking of parties in general, conference season is coming up, and all parties across the political spectrum will soon be holding their conferences, all setting policy and deciding the direction their party will be taking in the coming year, and setting new rules in how their party will be run. And a set of anti-trans activists inside the Liberal Democrats are looking to do exactly that this week. In a new motion set out to conference, the Liberal Voice for Women group have put forward a motion to conference to amend the party's constitution and basically to prevent trans people from having positions that match who they are, essentially excluding trans people from having any position inside of the party, and instead are parroting the usual crap about the Supreme Court ruling. And more specifically, remove the part of their constitution which reads, whenever the Constitution provides for the election by party members to a federal committee, not less than 40%, or if 40% is not a whole number, the whole number nearest to, but not exceeding 40%, I think we might as well include some kind of Monty Python joke about the holy hand grenade here, of those elected shall identify as men or non-binary people and self-identify as women or non-binary people, respectively, and instead of that, replace it with their usual obsession with so-called biological sex. When the Daily Mail approached the LGBT Liberal Democrats for a comment on this story, their chair, Charlie, put forward this statement to the Daily Mail. We know many Lib Dems and people in society in general believe that we should be able to debate people who seek to restrict trans rights, and we agree that a debate is a fundamental and vital part of politics. However, debate requires that both sides are acting in good faith, and we do not believe that applies to the Mail and many other mainstream media outlets at present. Now, this is due to be debated on the 20th, a couple of days after we record, and a couple of days before we release. So, if this fails, let's consider this a Loser's Corner segment in disguise.
Yeah, like, fucking good work on giving that statement to the Mail, saying, y'all are just going to lie about it, so get fucked. That was cool.
Yeah, I think that was a general feeling they were wanting to give in that statement as well. Yeah. I think the thing about the Lib Dems is I've sort of noticed that in 2017 they were pretty much they tried to be the centre, and then they sort of kept the centre ground, and then everyone else started going right, and they haven't really moved that much, but they're still thinking of themselves as a centre-based party in that regard. But yeah, I sort of still, that thing made me think twice about the Lib Dems as well.
I mean, fingers crossed this fails, right? There's, Liberal Voices for Women, their amendment just thoroughly fails, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay? Because this is the same group that we covered in a written article last year. They went to the Lib Dem conference and were basically harassing groups of LGBT people.
Yeah.
Like, they specifically waited for the LGBT Lib Dems table to just be staffed by some people who, you know, were quite young. And then a guy, like an older man, went over and was literally harassing them at their table because he thought he could get away with it. So, as I say, we covered that at some length last year. Check out that article. We'll put a link to that in the description because, you know, like a snake eating its own tail, we'll put a reference back to ourselves where necessary.
Self-promotion, gotta love it.
Like, I think nail on the head. Like, this should be a this should absolutely fail. They have no right to be acting the way that they're doing because they are not acting in a way that is appropriate. Full stop. And their stance and their arguments aren't appropriate either. But here's hoping. Fingers crossed. You know, any time that a transphobe loses a bit of power, a trans person gains their wings. I don't know what I'm saying here.
Yep.
Yeah, liberal voices for women, forcing themselves into spaces they're not wanted, and then making space less safe for LGBT people while they're at it.
Yeah. Liberal voices for
Yeah,
women,
including
acting like men since the beginning of their formation.
Oh, love it. Okay, so with that, let's move on to my favourite little angle, my favourite section of the room. That's right, it's Loser's Corner!
Loser's Corner.
This week in Absolute Heroes news, a trans woman named Rebecca Jones has been fighting the good fight in the field of blood and organ transplants. Back in November 2024, Jones became aware of some changes within the NHS blood and transplant service when she unexpectedly failed a blood donation. It turned out that earlier that year, in July of 2024, the NHS had started to use different guidelines for blood donations, saying that donors' haemoglobin levels should be measured against their sex assigned at birth rather than the gender that they've transitioned to. Men and women's haemoglobin levels are expected to be slightly different. It's absolutely fine and perfectly normal. And from a from a medical and scientific standpoint, this doesn't actually make sense. Haemoglobin levels are one of the many things that changes when you transition. The NHS had apparently made the decision to base the guidelines from the Joint United Kingdom Blood Transfusion and Tissue Transplantation Services Professional Advisory Committee, known as JPAC for short. Having learned all of this, Jones took up the fight, obtaining a subject access request for data, contacting the Ombudsman, her local MP, and finally JPAC themselves. After a long fight, the details of which were diligently kept and written up with scientific precision in a Google Doc that they've made publicly available online, JPAC at last looked through the evidence that Jones had gathered and agreed to go back to their old guidance to allow blood donations based on hormone levels, not based on sex assigned at birth. In their letter to Jones, they wrote, "The intention was that a donor on established gender-affirming hormone therapy should have their hemoglobin level assessed using the appropriate range for their endocrine status. However, on reviewing the position statement, we agree that this guidance is not explicitly stated in association with Table 3, which is one of the bits of evidence, which could lead to confusion for our staff." And then a little later on in the letter, we've got, "We acknowledge our need to continually improve and learn with regards to the management of trans donors. As we gain experience and feedback from donors, we can see where we need to make improvements. We will update the position statement and add clarification regarding hemoglobin ranges for donors on endocrine treatment," which means that this loser has got the crown award of being the politest fucking loser we've ever had, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Bloody good story.
So Rebecca Jones, hell yeah, love you, kicking ass, taking names, getting people to change things based on evidence. That's fucking science, right?
Yes.
But got to admit, JPAC, although they are the losers because they had to change a thing, like, they accepted it, you know, when they were presented with the evidence, like they fucking should, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, we love to see good sportsmanship, a loser that can take a knock. without letting it affect their long-term game strategy is always something that I think we strive for in the area of I was about to say sports entertainment. I'm getting too far away from the metaphor. Anyway, legend, icon, hemoglobin, heroin, if ever I've seen one. And when the loser is a whole institution and system that means that everyone else gets better healthcare and shit from it, that's when you know you have really hit a home run. So props.
I was just going to say, we'll probably tag Rebecca Jones in this just so she can hear all the nice things we're saying about her.
Yeah.
It's a very rare story. It's very rare we get stories where like someone provides the person with evidence and then they change their mind based on the evidence. All I see all the time is just doubling down from the other side whenever they get criticized.
Yeah, this is what actual scientific method looks like. It's recognizing where there are flaws and it's being receptive to figuring out those flaws, and all of that. Good science, bitch.
All right. So with that, we're gonna skip over the meat. Enjoy your extra time off there, dear listener, and we're gonna go straight to some trans joy.
Yeah. Jay says, it was my local pride this month, got some nice trans patches for my jacket, and me and my partner got some matching rings from a vendor there. Oh, cute. It was really nice.
Love it.
Was really nice to hang out with friends and the community and get to be me. Already looking forward to next year. I also got an adorable crochet frog from one of the vendors at Pride. They're such a little guy. Cute. I love this. And please tell us the name of your adorable crochet frog. Because sounds cool. I have an adorable, he's not crochet, but I have an adorable frog that is now my dog's favorite toy. His name is Gustave de Grandwy, because we decided to make him fancy and French, and that's actually not his full name. I did a little thing on my Instagram of who wants to help me name this little guy, and then I combined all of the names into one name. So his official his full name and official title is Gustave de Grandwy, Smut Lord, the Fuck King. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Creative people, I know.
Yes, indeed. So, back to the trans joy.
Yes.
Alice, proper Nico, said, I sent applications to renew my passport and driving license now. 3 years early, but at least they will have a better photo of me. Love it. I actually, for some reason, I found getting documents with my name and gender on them, that shit is validating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of trying to keep hold of my EU passport as long as possible out of spite. But...
yeah. Well, mine's up for a renewal actually in the next year or two.
Anyway, moving on. Socks. They went to a sex pride event today. Not today. A while back, and they attached and they got to show off their surgery scars, and they of course took that opportunity. And I think I saw the photo as well, and they're bloody brilliant.
Yeah. Awesome outfit. Loved it.
And Make It Rain says, my floofy ass hair is down to my shoulders now, and they attached a photo of them in this, which was a very cool photo, which also had the banger of a shirt design in it, which said, I don't struggle with autism, I'm actually pretty good at it. Love that. But they continue. One of my longtime friends, a literal reform voter, had some drinks with me. He cried when it clicked with him just how much happier I am now that I'm transitioning. Told me how amazing it is to see me truly out of my shell and being happy. I cried with him, but not sad tears. And that's fucking beautiful. And I hope that this kickstarts a journey with empathy, and where they're placing that empathy if they're a reform voter. I'm hopeful that introspection continues with them. Lovely.
Yeah. It's kind of how you do it, isn't it? Kind of one person at a time, just open up the world for them a little more. Anyway, Arya says, I had a bra fitting done today by a shop that's trans friendly. Genuinely felt really euphoric, even if I did end up spending a lot of money on bras. And that's a mood. Yeah. But bra fitting done by trans friendly, it's really nice, and it's affirming, right? It's really validating, and I'm glad you had that, and I'm glad it went so well for you. So Yeah.
Yes. And next up, Samantha Duke. This is a very good trans story. I endorse it very much. But what the trans, the really cool people there, shouted me out in a Trans Joy segment of the podcast. And yes, the Canadian deck for Cards Against Humanity is good, actually.
Love that. Love a little bit of meta trans joy.
Yeah.
And Olivia says, I came out to a queer friend as a trans girl, and she was amazing about it and incredibly sweet and affirming and kind. I was radiating joy for hours afterwards. And that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So happy for you. So thankful you have that friend in your life who is there for you. That's what's needed. That's the good shit.
Hell yeah. Riley says, I've recently noticed I have started passing without makeup or even when boy moding. Life is good. Hell yeah, it is.
Love that.
Following on from that, Freya slowly giving my partner their first post-coming out wardrobe, and the confidence is palpable. Congrats and well done for supporting.
And Christina's is short and sweet. It is 3 words long. 10 months. HRT. Yes! Congrats.
Yeah, that one also included a lovely photograph. You're looking hella cute, girl. Kiroscuro says, I went to a lovely queer and trans life drawing group last night for my monthly I Do Art reminder. Big up Degenerate Art Club at Gut Level, Sheffield. Awesome. Love Sheffield. Awesome city.
Awesome. Alora is organising some queer social events in my smallish community. Our big Pride events are always fun, but there hasn't been anything else happening throughout the year before this. They're starting in October, and they'll be screening some horror movies. And yeah, queer horror movies.
Amazing, amazing.
Oh, well,
listen,
we have a list of them now.
Listen. You want any recommendations for horror movies? Fucking let's go. I'm literally doing a movie night tomorrow. I mean, not queer horror movies, but I'm doing a movie night tomorrow with some friends over, and we're going to be doing a double screening of Pan's Labyrinth and Suspiria because, we were having a conversation about the weird parallels in certain aspects of the story, of the way like the settings that they're in, the like times of high conflict, the way that they play with a sense of like what's real, what's not. It's very interesting, just done in very different ways. Anyway, back to the point. Is it me next?
It's you, and you're reading Alice.
Amazing. Alice says, I've recently learned of a shop local to me where I can get heels that actually fit me. I've got some big old grippers, so I thought that to be impossible. I damn near cried seeing that they actually carried a few sizes beyond what I'd need. That is so cool. So cool. Love that.
Yeah. DK Leather, aka DK Green, says, I'm a finalist in the National Diversity Awards tomorrow night. Fully out as a trans man, recognised as an LGBT role model, I am squealing and slightly terrified. And yeah, justifiably, that's a big one. Congratulations.
Yes! That's amazing. That's fantastic. Good on you, dude. I hope you get it. Fuck yes.
And next up is Winter. My younger brother decided to drop using pronouns altogether and is just using Name's name for the time being. I'm really proud of Name for being brave enough to try new things and try and get a sense of Name's gender identity. I say little brother, but Name is 26. Lol. Well done, Name.
Younger siblings,
Younger brother.
They're always younger siblings, regardless of how old they are. Like my younger siblings could turn 40, and I'm still gonna be like, "You're right, kidder."
Yeah.
Laura, Queen of Seagulls, has said, it has taken me years, but I finally managed to connect up with my local trans support group. Looking forward to more joy ahead. Hell yeah, Laura. Go get that joy. Meet those people. Find the support network.
You deserve it.
Absolutely.
And Alice Proponico says, been to Bath, Bristol and Bradford in the same day. So you're touring the bees. Congratulations.
I love that. That sounds like the British equivalent of Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah. Bath, Bristol and Bradford. Yeah. It's actually... It works. Anyway, and if you are interested in finding out trans joy on a regular basis, you can join our Discord, because we have a whole ass thread just for it, and that's where I pull these from. Every other Thursday I'll make a little announcement. Okay guys, tell me some trans joy.
Yeah.
But yeah, love to hear it. Always the highlight of my every 2 weeks. It's a really nice thing to be able to do, is to put all of these things in here. Because they're always like a wonderful mix of stuff. But yeah, fabulous. So that's it. That's our show. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And we'll speak to you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's been a great time. Bye. This episode of What the Trans was produced and presented by Flint, Ashleigh, and Alyx, and written by Sammy, Ashleigh, and Alyx. It was edited by Amber Roberts, with our opening theme music composed by Warren Yui Kohlberg. Our episode thumbnail artwork was created by Uboa Pears, and transcription performed by Sam Wyman, Roman B, Rachel Aldred, and Georgia Britness. We would especially like to thank our producer-level Patreons, who are Flute Punk,
SAP.
Sabrina Artus.
Mika,
I'm a fawn, you dork.
Celine York.
The Splum,
Tanya B.
Melissa Harker.
Tig Slater,
Willow_tree.
Katie Cox.
Levi Hart,
Zoe B.
Michael Jajo.
Danielle Hardwick,
Ossian.
Mel.
Heather Patterson,
Toby.
Goldstar.
Susan K. Quinn,
Undead Narfa.
Bex the Mermaid.
Hazel Dust,
Laura, Queen of Seagulls.
Becky Cheetle.
Jordan Starr,
Lee Downs.
George Simmons.
Carly Silvers,
B Squared.
The Socialist Party of Great Britain 1904.
Sarah,
Eris.
Tin Roof.
Maestrom,
Lex Phoenix. Hello, darling.
And they all lived happily ever after except Tevs, who accidentally beep.
Andrea Brooks,
Jack Edwards.
Dulcie.
Orion Matrix,
Now Art.
Needles and Threads.
Flaming Daphne,
Dr. McGee.
Jen.
Katie Reynolds,
Georgia Holden Burnett.
Grabalicious.
Nux Afon,
Route -1.
Grey.
Elizabeth Anderson,
Bernice Roust.
Ellen Meller.
Jem Hoskins,
Trowan.
Ashley.
Set Cab,
Jane.
Roberto DePrunk.
Rose Absolute,
Sarah.
Cena.
Kiki T,
D.
Sky Killane.
Eric Whitman,
B.
Monsieur Squirrel.
Fergus Evans,
Anubis a Jackal.
Brandon Craig.
Break the System,
Sean Phillips.
Heidi Reardon.
Lentil,
Clara Volume.
Samantha Raven.
Tabitha Joe Cox, aka Candy,
Murgatroyd.
Ontologically Unjust.
Stella,
Cindergosa.
Rebecca Prentice.
Crazy Richard,
Dan Oblivion.
Helen _
El Grey,
Nick Ross.
Melody Nix.
Fiona Punchard,
John.
Lara Bailey.
Ted Delphos,
Kai Lewin.
Vic Parsons.
Patreon user,
Vic Kelly.
Sabrina McVeigh.
Cassius Adair,
Melissa Brooks.
Kraken 12.
April Heller,
Sophie Lewis.
Alexandra Lilly.
Claire Scott,
Ariadne Pena.
Laura Anayans.
Bernard's Pink Jelly Bean.
And Lanos. Thank you.
Cheers, wonderful.
Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.
Bye. I mean-
Goodbye.